All right, so we have a warm-up of a different type, a little math for you to do up top. How many people have already figured out the because? I did the division for you. 14 goes into 848, 132. So because, you fill in the because. And then I give you two other problems I would like you to think about how to do without doing any division. How many people think that's a little odd in my directions? Wait. I want you to divide, but I don't want you to divide. Let me ask my other question again. How many people think that's a little bit odd in the directions? All right, so perhaps that first problem will help you do the other two. I'll give you a minute of quiet. Actually, I'll only give you 15 seconds of quiet think time, and then I'll ask you to share with your neighbor. Ready? Go. So I'm curious. Has anybody noticed any similarities between the top division problem and the second division problem? How many people notice some similarities? So how many people noticed we got 14 dividing into those numbers? Both of them have 14s. All right, so that isn't any different. But what is that thing under the symbol called? The dividend? Okay, good. So the dividend on the second one is a lot bigger than the dividend on the first one. How many people notice that? Yeah? Could somebody tell me how many times bigger the second dividend is than the first? Tell your neighbor real quick, go. How many people think the second dividend is 100 times bigger than the first one? Could somebody use that idea to help me decide then what would I have to do to the 132? Because now 132 14s aren't going to fit in that second number. 132 14s fit in that first one, but they won't fit. How many people know where I'm headed here? All right, do the third problem and tell your partner what you think now that we just did the second problem together. Do the third problem and tell your partner what you think. So, I'm going to have you vote. I'm going to have you vote in one of two cases. Either the answer to the third division problem could be larger than 132, or the answer to the third division problem could be smaller than 132. How many people agree those are our two choices? All right, so I just want you to commit. How many people are committed already to one of those two choices? All right, so you got 5 more seconds to commit. How many people think 1.4 into 1848 is going to produce more than 132? All right, so 130 is going to be, if 1.4 is 10 times smaller than 14, how many people agree with that? How many people think 1.4 is 10 times smaller than 14? All right, so how many people think that has an effect on the quotient? Got to have more, will fit, yes? All right, now I pushed that a lot. You guys could experiment with that a lot more slowly than I just did. All right, so I just wanted to get your brains warmed up. We're going to do some stuff today. We're going to watch a lot of video today. So, Fran, should I click the next one?
Yes. I just want to say something about carefully scaffolded problems really have huge payoff. Debbie could have put that last problem up there, but you didn't really have your footing. So what she did is she put one up that you understood, another one that sort of stretched you a little bit, and now she can deal with dividing by decimals, because it makes a connection for you. So think about that in your warm-ups or even in how you present problems. Sometimes starting with something pretty darn easy that I'm confident about can help me get to the next step.
How many people also, I also think I chose those on purpose just like that, not just scaffolding, but the problems themselves had a relationship to each other. How many people think I was purposeful with that? Yeah, so in addition to the scaffolding, you could relate problems, and kids could start noticing patterns between problems instead of just blindly doing them.
Mm-hmm. And we want to force those relationships if we can, or make a culture where they start to see them a lot. We have been out and about, which has been really fun for us. And so we have been seeing how kids are problem solving and trying to share their problems and doing choose 3 ways. And we saw some think, pair, share. We even saw some starts. So it's really cool to get out and about and see this. So what we want to do is we want to now put ourselves in some reflecting and refining put on those glasses, and we want to be some researchers. So right now I have my paper monitors, and they're at the front. Now I have this problem. I didn't know I was having a crowd sitting in the back. So when the papers get to you, all extras go back. Don't throw them at those people, but hand them over. We want everyone to have a green paper, okay? So paper monitors, you can start passing them down. what we're going to show you now is a video from a classroom of a teacher in Robla, a kindergarten teacher. But all the people who just said, oh, kindergarten, I teach 5th grade, I can't listen. Oh my gosh, you are going to see so much stuff that you can transfer over. It's amazing. But what we want you to do right now is, now we're serious about this data collection, is we want you in your groups to decide who's going to collect data on this teacher-student talk ratio. Only one of you in a group of 4 to 5 should do that, because you're really trying to pay attention. If you want to be a timer, that's great. We want some evidence on that.
And Fran, they should have a timing device if they're that person.
Yeah, if you have a timing device, that's perfect. And then pass out the other job. Raise your hand if you're the timer for student-teacher talk. I see hands. Okay, put your hand down. Raise your hand if you are looking at opportunities for the students to engage in math practice. Okay? And all you have to do there probably is tally. If you want to write a little word to remind, because you're going to report out your data. Okay? Raise your hand if you are monitoring the teacher's questions. What we're looking for that are how many questions are sort of data low level. Those are important. And how many cause children to ponder and think. Those are important. You can't have all of one, but you got to find a balance. Okay? So we're looking for that. And then who's going to chart like what she does first, what she does second, so her problem-solving process. Okay? Now, let me just set this up just a little bit. This is a kindergarten at Main Avenue School. If you notice Brenda's shirt, they're under construction, so she apologizes for her outfit. And I said, who cares really? But it's a cool little Main Avenue's under construction kind of. And this is kindergarten, and this was taken 1 week before we went on winter break. So these are the kindergartners she has right now this year, okay? Oh, you're all noticing the multiplication. Main Avenue is a regular little school. It's over off of Raleigh Boulevard and I-80. It probably is similar to some of your schools that have a very high AFDC free lunch rate. She and her partner will teach all 50-something kindergartners, but you won't see that today. You only see her half. They do this game, which you're not going to see, but if kindergarten teachers want to hear about it, it's called Mingle Mingle, and she tells them to put themselves in groups of 3 or 4 or 5. And in fact, you saw that they put themselves in groups of 3, and they got 9 groups of 3, and they were happy. They got 27 kindergartners. That's what they had. Then she said, put yourself in groups of 5. They got 5, and they had 2 left over that couldn't fit into a group. So that's what that is, and she just does that couple times a week. But what you're going to see is she's going to set up a problem. Brenda has been in our grant for the last 5 years. So Brenda was sitting in your spot about 5 or 6 years ago. Brenda learned about choose 3 ways and think, pair, share, and starts about 5 years ago. So she's a little bit further on the road than maybe you might feel you are. Okay? But what you have to see is this kindergarten. I want you to pay attention to all the little parts. Yes? Ask again.
Is it all-day kinder or half-day kinder?
It's a half-day kinder. Okay? All right. So, we ready? Okay, you ready to collect data? Oh, look at these timers. You guys are official. Okay. Yeah.
Here we go.
Faja, Miley, Janice, and Cindy, make sure you're sitting on purple. Okay, come sit down. Toby, scoot off the purple. I need my 4 girls over there. Looking at me? Yeah! We have a story problem with Bob today. Bob has some presents. Bob got 3 presents. His mom gave him 8 more. How many presents does he have now? So what do we have to figure out? Don't tell me the answer, but what are we figuring out? Are we figuring out ice creams? Puppy dogs? Lucio, what do we have to figure out?
Presents.
What about those presents? Is he getting more, getting less? What are we doing?
Getting more. Yep.
Okay. I am thinking in my head about my plan. I'm thinking of 3 different ways to solve it. Yesterday I learned a new way using the words and, is.
I'm gonna make a purple.
There you go. Good. Problem solved.
And I'm gonna make a number sentence. About 3 plus 8. I got 3. Give me 8 plus 8. 6 equals plus equals 7.
I saw lots of counting. Lots of fingers happening. It's a big number, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's when he got 8 more. It really kind of bumped his present number up. When I give you your problem, you're going to go glue it down and figure out 3 ways to solve it. Mike, stay right there. Or 4. Wow, 4 would be awesome. We're going to set the timer, and in a few minutes, we'll stop and talk. Nope, that one's okay. A couple of them got cut off. That one has all the words. Mike, you really got to back your spot.
I made presents. I made 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 3 plus 8.
Good work. Whoa. It's beautiful. Gosh, look at it in the camera. See how nice it looks? You are one thinker. Now, how many ways is that you figured it out? 2. So now what are you going to do?
I'm gonna do a purple.
Oh,
1,
I don't want.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 on that side and 3 on that side. 11.
So tell me about Bob. What's Bob going to get?
He had 3, and then he got 8 more, and then it's 11.
So 11 what?
11 presents.
Oh, is he a happy guy? Yeah.
He got presents for Christmas.
Thank you. Wow. Can you read me your first way? What does it say up there?
3 and 8 is 9.
So now look at your picture. Does your picture agree with that?
3, 4, 5.
Check your picture. Okay, how many presents do you have in your picture?
3 and 8.
Do you think there are 9? You better count them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Keep going.
10, 11.
Holy smokes, what do you think? Which one's right? The equation or the picture? You think so? Do you think he gets 9 presents? Do you think he gets 11? You have 2 answers. What do you think?
So let's put those in groups and then draw 8 more from each.
What do you think about that? Cool.
Javon, can I have your book?
Debbie.
And Samuel, can I have your book?
Okay, we're going to back this up just a little bit. By the way, for the people who are watching Teacher Questions, she wasn't questioning, she was also observing, and she was writing in a notebook. So we'll talk about this. Actually, that's a nice screenshot. So go ahead right now and tell, we're going to give you about 5 minutes, tell your group what you've noticed so far. We got a very interesting question from the back of the room, and I'm wondering if this was your question as well. They asked, the group asked, she didn't set the problem up much. She didn't say, what are we looking for? She kind of talked about the idea, what are we talking about? Are we talking about puppies? Are we talking about, but that was about it. And then you didn't hear her very well, but she said, turn and tell your neighbor what your plan is. And that's when you saw the kids talking about how they were going to show their answer, how they had figured it out, and how they were going to show it. So what she does, because this is December, school starts in August. In August, it would look a little bit different. But I have to say, knowing Brenda the way I do, she is the most intentional person I've ever met. She will so if she sets up the problem for them, she knows she's going to stop after a while. So maybe she set them up. She might say, okay, what are we going to do? Talk to your neighbor. And she's more helpful at the beginning. But it's December, so she's pulled way back. She wants her kindergartners to solve this on their own. So they did not read it before we started filming it. This was all done cold. So there's something to be said about that kind of teacher talk versus not. Yes?
She did say, though, from yesterday, using the and is statement.
Right. So she does a review, and thank you for bringing that up. So this is how she it's almost like clay, if you will, her molding. You'll see her when kids share, too. What she highlights, because she wants that to show up. So yesterday they talked about this plus this and this is this. She reminds them so it'll show up. And in fact it does, not in everyone's paper, so you'll see what happens later in the process. Were there other questions or comments?
I got it. If I don't hurt myself.
Let me stand over here so I can hear you.
What did that little boy call the little chart that he made? We were trying to figure out what
Pot hole. Part hole.
Part.
You know, if you've ever taught little kids,
hole.
That's that speech thing. You think they're from Boston, and then you realize, oh no, they'll grow out of that. Their R's aren't set quite yet, so it's the pot hole. Part hole. Part hole in Go Math, I learned today, shows up in first grade. In their math program, which is Envision, they're doing it in kindergarten. Okay, so he sets it up where he knows what the whole is and what the 2 parts are. Okay, any other questions or comments? We're going to set it again. Okay, before we get it going, remember she was walking around with her journal? All the kids have a journal. By the way, just lined paper. It's not a worksheet. It's just lined paper. She has one of her own, and you'll see I kind of go on I don't know if we already looked at it said Mrs. Hanson's problem-solving journal. So this is what she's doing. This is what she's writing down when she walks around. So if you look here, she wrote Nevaeh, part whole with counters. And then she wrote Samuel, part whole with counters. And then see the arrows? That means she wants Nevaeh to share first before Samuel. And then she's talking about Miley and then Javon. You're going to see Javon. So she's going around paying attention to what they're doing and writing notes. And she has this dated, well, see, she's got the Bob problem glued up there. So she can look back and see how many times Javon has done a certain strategy. It's a way cool way to collect data. It's amazing. And she tells the kids, this is my problem-solving book. So I'm walking around and I'm writing down my problem-solving dilemmas. But it's really her observations of the kids and who she wants to share. Remember, she's an on-purpose person. So nothing she does is random. Any other questions? Okay, so shall we pick up from where we left off?
Oh, Samuel, I have your book already, don't I? I do. Javon, would you go up and talk to us about what was going on here? I helped Javon out a little bit because he got a little distracted. So talk to us about those counters that we did, Javon.
I made 3 counters, 8 counters, then draw.
Okay, so wait, you had 3 counters and you had 8 counters. Why did you have 3 counters and 8 counters? Do you remember what the story was? What was it about? Yeah, so now count all of those counters so we know how many presents Bob has.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Did you put your answer someplace on the paper? What's this? So how many presents does he have, Javon?
11.
Excellent. Remember how we did the words? Let's read this one. 3 and 8 is 11. Nevaeh did a part whole and with counters too. Nevaeh, will you go prove it to us? Uh-huh.
I did 8 more.
Uh-huh.
Equals 11.
Nice job. Count all those counters. Let's make sure we've got it.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Nice work, Nevaeh. Thank you. You put some arrows, and I want to know about those arrows.
I did a time frame. 1, 2, 3. That's why I have an arrow so everybody knows this is a line and these are the other extras.
So I like how you did the number here for your answer, and you have your counters. Now, Samuel, I'm going to move it because I want you to talk to us about that number sentence.
3 plus 8 equals 11.
Fantastic. Thank you, Samuel.
I put 3 and 8 is 11.
Nice. And then what? Talk to us about the bottom part down
I
here.
put 3 and I put in and then put 8 is 11.
Good. There was something that happened up here that you had to erase and change. What made you change it?
It was a 9.
Oh. And how come you changed it? What made you change your mind?
Because then I counted it and it was 11.
Oh, good. It's always good to check, huh? Thank you, Skylar. Okay, we're going to give you 2 more minutes to go back, because I can see Skylar has it solved 2 ways. And how many ways does she need to solve it? 1 more. Should have 3 ways. So I'm going to give you a couple more minutes to go back and make changes because we saw some good ideas. You can walk back to your spots. Samuel, thank you for letting me borrow your book. Nevaeh, thank you for letting me borrow your book.
What did you add?
3 and 8 is 11.
Did you get that idea from who? Did someone share that?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. So now you have, how many ways did you show?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I was doing 6.
Wow, have you ever had 5 ways to show a problem? That's pretty good. Now you have 6. Wow.
I have a bunch of money now.
You have a bunch of money?
Yeah, right.
Well, don't spend it all in one place. Talia Perry, tell me about your ways. What do you have on your paper?
I made some chapters, and I made 3, and then plus 11.
And what else do you have on your paper?
And I changed the 10 to 11.
Oh, because is that the whole and the part whole?
Yeah.
And what are those 11 what?
11.
I just want to, before I send you back to talk about this, I want to let you know that we are not calling this 3 ways to solve the problem. We're saying that they're showing their thinking in 3 or more ways. And since our kindergartners, she's working on trying to get as many ways as possible that they can show their answer and try to explain it. And you can see both are difficult. The explaining is really difficult. I mean, poor little Javon didn't even know he had his answer on his paper. But I want you to talk, the person who talks about the teacher questioning, she asks really deliberate questions or makes deliberate statements so that things show up on other people's papers. So if you can talk about that too. So now talk to your group about your data, and we'll call you back in a couple minutes. What did you, it seems to me that the part whole is a big deal. And in fact, it is a really good math model that kids, when they really get control of it, they can figure out the missing, the unknown, no matter where it is. So part whole is something that's really powerful when kids understand it. Any questions or statements? Yes.
We noticed that she had different colored notebooks. Was that based on their level?
Oh,
so they had the same problem?
I don't think it was based on their level. They all had the same problem, but it's probably based on something that I didn't ask. Because, you know, everything she does is based on something. But she wouldn't level, so I don't know what that was based on. So I can ask and we'll... Anything else? Oh, another?
2 of that. So when she sets them up to do independent work, are they grouped by ability or is just...
Oh, no. That's just and you couldn't see like 7 of them because their permission slips weren't in, so I couldn't film them. But yeah, no, that's her crew. Yeah. It's pretty impressive, I have to say. Any other comments or statements? I noticed people were talking about her process, and that revision moment is something that's really powerful. And for upper grade teachers, the revision moment could include also your written explanation. So if you heard something you want to add to or refine your written explanation. Of course, in kindergarten, they're not there yet, and they won't be there. They'll start to add words and labels, but they're not there yet. So that revision idea, I think, is really powerful. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this school. It's a tiny school. It doesn't even compare to any Elk Grove huge school. But it's a pretty tiny school. At most, there's 2 of each grade. At some grade levels, there's only 1. But last year, they hit in the paper when they say, here are the top 5 growing schools. They were one of them. So you want to get on that list. You don't want to be on the bottom 5 list, and the B publishes both. But they were on that one. And so I asked them, I said, how did you get here? Why do you think you made so much growth measured by the CST? Okay, the measuring tool is going to change, but measured by the CST, why do you think you're here? And one of the things they'll say is because we do more alike across the school than we do different. So when someone has found something that works, other classrooms start to pick it up. So I also have a video of the 1st grade classroom there. It looks surprisingly a lot like this classroom. So they share structure big time because they know, if you want to go to the next, if they know that if you're a kiddo at Main Avenue School, you are only benefited by understanding how we do it at the school, that this is the Main Avenue way. So it's something to think about. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you some time right now. One more, Debbie. One more, Debbie. One more, Debbie. One more, Debbie. Or there it is. So we're going to give you, since you're sitting in your school groups, we did that on purpose. We want to give you not a lot of time, maybe about 8 minutes, to talk. What could you all agree, your PLC people, and if your principal's there or whoever's there, what could you start to make more alike across the classrooms that are sitting right here at the table? And it doesn't mean that a kid will come to me this year and then to you next year, but we can start to influence because you're going to get to see kids in your classrooms who are doing this. So what could you start tomorrow that you all could agree? So what kind of school plan? We want you to talk school-wide right now, okay? The key, as an outside observer at Main Avenue School, one thing I notice is that they PLC all the time. They're talking in the hallways. When something goes right, they talk at lunch. So they really are all about, you know, hey, I tried this, you should try this. Even if it's something small, like my kids are making sense of part, whole. How are your kids doing with part, whole? So it starts to be this kind of commonality across the classrooms. So let us know how you would like us to support you. We can. We may even get Brenda and Mr. Manley to come so you can talk to them as well.
How many people got an email, I think yesterday, maybe the day before, that let you know that we have to give you a math test tonight? How many got that email? Yeah, gosh darn it. Does anybody know how many years this grant is going to go for that lets us hang out and work together? Yeah, awesome, you know that. So we're just trying to get some baseline data because we plan on showing some growth. So you know what? If you see some stuff on this math test that we're going to ask you, and this is a math test written for teachers, so it'll ask you some questions like, some students did the following thinking. What do you think? Okay, so it's not a typical math test from a math classroom. And Fran is fixing these directions. I'm going to tell you about this code here in just a minute. Yeah, I know, that's all right. So they don't have to read that yet. Here, I can fix that. So we're going to ask that you guys just do your best. This is a snapshot of your thinking. No names will be collected on this test. Oh, that's me, sorry. Yep, somebody's calling me back and I have to call her in a minute. I thought I did. So what we'd like you to do is just do your best. It's a snapshot of your thinking today. We're going to do this a few more times, and we're just showing growth. We're going to have you make a code up that will go on each of the times that we do this so that we can track your particular change and then report in mass what the change was for the group. Because basically, if you're on the staff here that does this grant, please raise your hand. Fran, raise your hand. This test is evaluating the impact we're having, Kara and Jerry and me and all the coaches, and right? It's not you guys, all right? And that's really hard for you to internalize, I know, but that's really what the case is. So we got to tell you how to make up this code. And Fran, I'm covering up the screen because we've changed our mind 3 times on how to make up this code today. So you need to know your grade level that you teach. If you teach a combo classroom, choose one of those 2 numbers. So it's going to be a single digit. If you teach kindergarten, it's going to be the number that's before 1. Okay, everybody got a single digit number for the grade level they're teaching this year. And you're going to use this same code even in year 5. So if you switch grade levels, you got to know this one, all right? Combo teachers, are you okay? I haven't butchered the directions yet. All right, that's going to be the first digit of your code that you'll be putting on your Scantron. In a minute, we're going to tell you where you go take this test. That'll be the next set of slides. So Fran's redoing the direction right there. Say step 1 is reappearing. All right, so your grade level, that's the first digit this year. The second step is still the same. You are going to use the last 4 digits of your cell phone, and should you not happen to have a cell phone, then use the last 4 digits of your home phone. And that will be the next 4 characters. So you'll create this 5-character code. Grade level, first character, 4 digits of your cell phone number this year. Those are your next 4, and then that's it. It's only a 5-character code. All right? Who would like to ask me a question or let me know I could clarify something?